Welcome, Seamlss Quick Wins Seminar. I'm Clayton from Seamlss, one of the co-founders. I also am an accounting firm owner myself. I own Business Edge Advisors, which has been around for over 10 years. And this is the reason we founded Seamlss, is to assist firms to collect their data and onboard their clients, verify and engage. So one of the challenges that I know from my own firm is it's time consuming. It can be a lot of backward with different clients. It's a lot of, there was never any standardization with when I took over the practice. It was just a matter of waiting for the clients to drop off the data. Sometimes you might ring them, sometimes you might harass them, sometimes you might go down to their work and pick the documents up as well. All of this creates a bit of a poor client experience. Sometimes a lot of data is going over email. So again, it's not very secure. So the whole purpose of today's session is to eliminate all that. And I think one of the key things that I wanted to touch on from yesterday's before I step into the demo was a lot of people ask about what if the client doesn't want to do this, or what if the client does it that way, or what if my client won't do this or that. I think the key thing to remember with anything you're doing with the client, what would you tell the client to do in their practice or their business? I'm generally speaking that I don't think it'd be to say, make sure that you make your product or service fit the needs of every single person that wants to work with you. Make sure that you're defining your system and your process to work within the confines of your business. I'm not to say that there's not an outlier. There's always some client where you just might have to do things a little bit different. But if you can create a standard process that there's a little box that they have to jump through instead of a million different boxes, your box is that they go through this process, they upload the documents, your team can download the documents and the job can get started, then that is the key aspect, is creating a rinse and repeat process that the team knows and the client knows and the firm continue processing. So let's switch across. I'll just move that out of the way. So I'm just going to be on the Seamlss dashboard here. From here, we'll go into the forms. So we've already got a bunch of different form templates within the Seamlss platform. We've got some for prime producers, we've got some for business tax returns, and we've got some for investment style businesses. Now, in my firm, I know that generally you can collect the documents for businesses in most small businesses, small companies and things like that. It's a very similar process. But then you might have some clients where they've got an investment trust or investment company, something like that, where you're going to ask for specific investment information, dividends, managed funds, things like that. So we've got a different bunch of form templates that you can utilize. You can obviously have bigger ones. I've added all these already, but in the case of all of the forms work the same way. So if it was a sole trader, which we touched on yesterday, you could preview the form, check it out, add it to your Seamlss account, go into your forms, and then you can edit the forms any way you like. You can also archive, duplicate, or disable the form and delete it. Editing is pretty simple. Click on the link, go in, change the name, change the description, because this is the information that the client will receive, and then you're going to ask the different questions. If you don't like the questions being asked, you can push them up, you can move them around, you can delete the question, you could add a new question. So there's multiple different types of ways of getting information from your client. And then obviously put in the questions that you want, add that question, and then you've created the form. And then you can obviously save that form and send it off. So if you've got a suite of forms that you can utilize, then your admin team can utilize them. I think it's key is what I'm getting at there is, again, that system and that process, making a standardized process. I was talking to a firm recently, and they were talking about how they wanted to send a custom form to every single client. Great. If you've got time to send a form to every single client and you want to customize it, go to town. If you do that, it could be a very big form, and then you're constantly editing it, and your admin team is constantly adding time onto the job and the cost for that client to get a customized form. Will the experience be better? Maybe. Will the client care? Probably not. I think they just want to get you the documents, get you the information, get it in a solid way, and get you started working on the job when it matters. So in this case, I've sent myself a request. I'm setting up a request. Sorry, I've selected the template. And then you can obviously edit these questions on the fly This is a very long template, and this is what I'm talking about. If it's very long, it's going to be a lot for the client to get. I can send that fetch off. So when I send that fetch, that will send a link to the client. They get an SMS, they log in, and then they start answering the questions. And I'll just switch to client view now to view myself that I just sent that request. Here's the request here. So if I click on that, here's all of the information I've just asked. So if this was a new client, you might want last year's financial statements. You might want previous note assessments if they've got it, if you don't already have it. If you're not using something like Xero or QuickBooks, then you might need some old school MyOb data. Again, this is a bigger formatted form. If you're going to collect all these details for an old school client, you can edit this up to reduce it. So maybe you're only asking for the balances and the files relating to that. Maybe they have an investment property, so therefore you're asking for those details. This is what I was talking about, that this is a whole lot of information to either edit or send to a client. My suggestion, which is what we'll use at Business Edge Advisors, is to go into the client and stack the forms using the re-engagement button. So find the client, click on the re-engagement button. Here's Clayton's details, here's his entities. I'm going to get him to confirm these details. And then I'm going to utilize the fetch forms and I'm going to stack them. So Clayton's got a simple business, so I'm going to send him the simple financial statements questionnaire. He's also got a rental property, so I'm going to send him the rental property questionnaire. So have I got the rental property in there? I don't think I took it out from yesterday. Let's say he had a capital gain. I'm going to add the capital gains tax questionnaire. But also Clayton bought a new vehicle. So I want his vehicle details done. So I'm stacking the questions based on my discussion with Clayton, knowing what I need to get out of him. Again, reducing that rework capacity part of planning for your jobs. And then I'm going to send it off. Now, a lot of firms that use Seamlss are using Ignition, so you can skip the engagement letter, but you can also select a different engagement letter. So you can choose that on the fly. No clients ever said, no, I'm not signing that again. I just get them to sign it again anyway and send it. Off that goes. That will send an email and a link to Clayton. Clayton will click on the link, get an SMS, he'll log in. It'll take him straight to that re-engage form. You can see from here, I've got a pathway to Clayton to complete this for this year. So I can say that Clayton, have these details changed? No. Have these details changed for the company? No, they are the same. And then the same again for this company. With the financial statements, this is what I'm talking about, simple. So I'm just collecting the bank details. I want him to upload all of his bank statements. So in this case, I'm going to say I'm going to put in some PDFs, and then they're going to be going to the accountant and they can download them. Shares and securities, so they can upload their dividend statements. I'm just going to go in, find my dividend statements, and here's some dividend statements. Again, have they bought any assets? Do they sell any assets? You're asking the questions you want to know in order to complete the tax return. One of the things you might not do is the BAS and GST, because you can get that from the ATO. Any other, and then they can obviously put in some information there. We talked about the capital gains. Clayton sold a property, so therefore I want his settlement statement. He can go and find that, attach those documents in order for me to complete the capital gain. In this case, I've got a new vehicle. Clayton's bought a new vehicle. He can go and get my amortization schedule for me. I've outlined that in the description at the top here. I'll save that. Once he's uploaded all those documents, I can now sign it, complete it. He's going to sign the engagement letter, so therefore I've got a signed engagement letter to start the job. If I switch back to the firm view, I'm going to go over to Clayton Wood to view all the documents and the files and the forms. So if I'm the admin team member, I'm sending off this request, and then I'm going in and downloading the documents. So here's my form, so I can view the file. There's all the answers to the questions. I can also go into the forms and download documents that people have uploaded. So if I go into today's, down here, here's all the answers to different questions. And then the documents will be attached to that for me to download. We do have plans to enable the files to subsequently transfer to other document storage solutions, and that is coming soon. Again, depending on what the client would have, so if they have an SMSF, You could also do the same thing and stack those SMSF files. If you wanted to send a full SMSF one, I know that SMSFs are quite complicated and they do have either a lot of questions to ask because they have a lot of different moving parts. But on the flip side, if it was an SMSF and you were just going to keep it simple, you could just ask for the bank statements and the securities, members, data, things like that. Again, you can also put in at the bottom here an additional complimentary notes in the email to the client and send that off. Again, the client fills it in, comes back, you download the files. The admin team should be doing all that processing for you. Once they've completed all of their requests, they will end up on the action list here, telling the admin team to go in, download the file so the accountant can get started processing the file. So that's forms and templates for end of financial year planning and how you can use Seamlss. So you can either, let's come back to my demo screen here. So you've got a couple of different options. So reducing your pick up and put down, creating that process for collecting the data. So whether it's you're stacking the forms and collecting the data in that way by saying, well, I'm going to get these small parts from the client once, or one long form, which can be a bit overwhelming for some clients. I recommend the stacking forms because that way you can customize it a little bit to what the client needs. I recommend trying to get the admin team to follow the process in the system, so that way that they're doing all of this work on the background for you. If there is missing data, you can also use the quick fetch item to request documents. So in that sense, if you were saying, say the client forgot to send you their loan document, you can just send a single fetch request. So you can create a fetch request, send loan documents. You can add the question, you can put in the comments, so it could be CBA loan, you can put in the title there, and then you can request the files. You can save and edit that question on your own, you can mark it as required, and then you can send it. And that'll be just a simple fetch request on the fly to the client asking a question to get the document to complete the process. Again, I'm just recommending firms try and create a standardized, systemized process, making a way that you can continuously get this data flowing from the clients without changing it all the time. And you can obviously scale it up so that the admin team can rinse and repeat. You can add the clients to Seamlss, you can send it off, get them re-engaged, collect the data, and get the job started. I recommend that this is done before the job started. So if your client has signed their proposal in June and the job is getting started in November, you can send it off at the start of November. They can confirm their details, send you the documents, start the job, sign an engagement letter. You've also confirmed their details on the front cover, such as their address and bank details. That means that on the front cover of the tax return, before it goes out, you've got a process of confirming the details are correct, and therefore tax returns have the right information. So that brings today to a close. Hopefully I've kept within the 15 minutes okay. By all means, also any feedback. If you've got feedback, if you want some forms created, I'm happy to help create some forms to share and improve at any time. By all means, send them through. Just want to say thanks for everyone for attending. And yeah, if you need to get started with Seamlss, if you haven't already, head to the website and just get started now for free. And hopefully I will see you all again tomorrow for the re-engagement session. Thanks for everyone for attending. Hopefully 15 minutes was just enough.